Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to show a little project I've been working on. I watched some of the World stream from the 2025 Pokemon World event, and the overlay and how dynamic it was looked pretty cool. And I wanted to see if that was something that I could make for maybe myself, if I end up streaming IRL card content, but also for any other content creators or local card shops that are looking to maybe stream some of their tournaments or build a presence on their live streaming platform. This is what I have so far. It's called CardCast, and it should be fully portable. You should be able to technically use it on any device, but the portable option is only available on Windows platforms. If you wanted to use it on Linux or Mac, you would have to pull the repo manually and either build or use it in that OS. But if you're on Windows, the portable solution makes it super convenient. All you have to do is download it. And once it's downloaded, you just need to extract the zip file. Okay, now that it's downloaded and extracted, you should be able to run the batch file. This initial setup takes a few minutes because it is fully portable, meaning you don't have to run through the steps of installing Node.js on your PC, ensuring that environment path variables are set up correctly. It all should just be locally housed in this folder here. No installation, no weird setup processes, just run the batch file. And once it's done, you should be good to just run the overlay control. Okay, as you can see, it's now finished installing. It grabbed everything needed as far as dependencies in Node, and it should automatically bring up the browser with our home page. From here, the first step you want to do is actually download the cards. This should go through and fetch the most recent set because that's the option we ran. It's using a publicly available API, so there's no setup process and manually saving card images or naming them or anything like that. Okay, that first batch of cards downloaded. It only downloaded White Flare because we had it set to the most recent set only. Obviously, if you have cards outside of that set, you'll need to download more. So in this case, let's go ahead and run the last 10 sets. That should get us the bulk of Scarlet Violet. And from there, we can start showing how the overlay works. Okay, that last batch of cards downloaded. Let's go ahead and wrap up and grab all of the sets we have left in Scarlet Violet, just so any deck list that we import for the overlay later has a complete card list. Okay, now that all of our cards have been downloaded, we can start setting up the OBS portion of this. Thankfully, there's no plugins needed or installation in OBS. It's all handled through WebSockets, meaning you can just copy these links and add them as a browser source in OBS, and that should be the end of your setup. For now, Pokemon Match is the only overlay link that you need to add. The other overlay options were initially set up, but for now, let's just grab the Pokemon Match overlay and move to OBS. Okay, now that we're in OBS, the first step we need to do is add our browser source. We'll just call this Pokemon Match. And for our URL, you copy from the tool. Set our resolution to 1920 by 1080, which is full HD 1080p resolution. And from here, you can see our overlay has now been added. I will turn off our monitor, and I have some test footage from a game that we recorded and streamed live 5 years ago now, which is over 5 years, which is kind of crazy to think about, but we can just use this test gameplay footage to show off the overlay portion now. So this is what will display on your recording or live stream, and we can actually dynamically control all of the settings here in the overlay. We can go back to our web browser now and start working on showing you that portion. Okay, we are back to the web browser where the tool's located. From here, we have a couple of options. You can actually browse cards and create deck lists here manually, or you can actually import a deck list from Limitless TCG's deck building tool, and Pokemon Trading Card Game Live should work in here. Let's go ahead and grab an example list and throw that in. Just grab this list here, copy to clipboard, make sure we paste our list here, ensure that Pokemon is our selected game. Right now, that's the only supported game. Name the deck list and then hit import and save. So now that it's imported, we should be able to view this list and ensure that all the cards are imported properly. It looks like they have, including our special energies, our trainers, everything here looks like it's loaded. If it didn't load in correctly, it would actually just show a triangle with an exclamation point showing you that the card isn't in your list. If that's the case, you need to see what set the card's from. And depending on how old it is, you may take some time to download the entire set list. This button here should in theory work, but it will take an incredibly long amount of time, and depending on the API, could time you out and miss sets. So it's better to do sets in chunks of 10 at most. But if you feel like letting it run for a while, you can go ahead and download all the cards at once. Okay, that deck list is set up correctly. Let's go ahead and grab another deck list. Just grab Gardevoir, copy that to our clipboard, and import the new deck list. Make sure Pokemon selected, and name this list. Ignore that pop-up. It's because our overlay is currently running. Okay, now we have two deck lists. This will make more sense once we actually get to the match control overlay. Let's go ahead and view that now. We have our match control overlay. From here, this is how you control everything that's displayed on the overlay in OBS here. So as the game moves on, you can choose the active Pokemon, their bench Pokemon, prizes. You can change the player names and records, obviously. You can toggle the updates for if they've used energy that turn, supporter, if they've retreated, and anything else that's in the actual match control overlay. So if we go back to that, it should show us an empty match list here. All of the match setup controls are listed here at the bottom, and all of the actual player match controls are at the top. So just for this test, let's go ahead and grab my name here, Ken's name there. If you need to update, you just double click where the name is, type the update. Let's say we both had a pretty good run and we're trying to make day 2. I'm going to give myself no losses. We'll give Ken 1 loss, 1 tie. You know, just because I'm better. From here, this is where our deck lists come in handy. So if you select the deck list for each player who's actually playing, then when you go to actually select the cards from that deck, it will filter the cards to only the cards that player is using. You can theoretically search for any card here. I don't know why you would want to do that if you have their deck list imported correctly, but maybe something weird happens and you want to have the option to pull in any card. You still have that here. But as long as it's filtered here and that deck list is selected, this is the only displayed cards that will show for those decks. It makes this a lot easier when you're controlling this on the fly while the games are live to ensure that you're adding the cards into the correct places quickly and easily. Okay, we just showed you how to add a Pokemon to the active. It's the same process for the bench. We'll just throw in random cards that would be there for the game. Baby Goldango, Pheasantipity. Okay. Let's say you're running a deck that expands the bench size. Maybe you have a stadium in play and it meets the requirements, so you can expand the bench size. You can also do that dynamically. Let's go ahead and add more cards here. We know this would never happen with this deck, but just use your imagination. And then we fill out the rest of the bench. So right now we have our 7 Pokemon on the bench. And let's say that stadium or ability gets removed. You will go back down to 5, and then you can manually select which Pokemon go back on the bench. It keeps it saved in the browser's local memory. So if they go back to 7 Pokemon, it will store that in history. So you would need to remember to clear that out and add whatever Pokemon actually get added during play. Okay, now let's say a player retreated during that turn. It's very easy to control the active and bench Pokemon. So they retreated from Fluttermane and promoted Gardevoir. All you have to do is drag the Pokemon into that spot and it automatically replaces them on the bench with the active Pokemon. All you have to do is drag the bench Pokemon to the active or the active Pokemon to the bench, and it will automatically place them in the respective areas. HP is also customizable. So let's say we just swung for 200 damage on Gardevoir. All you have to do is add the HP left and it will automatically show this on the overlay. Games won in this match are also easy to update. This is just right here at the top under player control. In-match prize card control is also easy. Let's say a player takes 3 prize cards that turn. All you have to do is click the prize cards taken and it will automatically update on the match overlay. Here's the turn action control panel. If they've attached an energy that turn, played a supporter, or retreated, you can easily control that here and it will display on the overlay in OBS. So that way the audience watching your broadcast is aware of what's been used and what hasn't during that turn for each player. And here's the match control setup. You can set the timer, you can reset the timer, pause if needed, change the format, change the game number. The turn control here is also convenient so that when it's a new player's turn, the switch here easily toggles between the two. The show overlay and hide overlay is conveniently located here. This would be handy when you're resetting the overlay between matches. So you could just have the camera view of the table while the players are getting ready. And instead of clunkily showing you resetting everything, you can hide the overlay and then click the reset all button and it clears the entire board. And the board state is now clear and ready for game 2. The last portion I didn't show was stadium. So let's say you wanted to add a stadium that's in play. You can conveniently do that here and it will show at the top of the match overlay. If the stadium gets removed from play, you can do that there. You can also add any variation. Technically, the stadium search searches Pokemon cards. I'm not aware of any Pokemon that has the ability to become a stadium, but just in case, we left that there so you can still search if needed. One last thing before we actually show the overlay in action. From both the home page and the match control overlay, there's an overlay connected notification here. This makes it convenient when you are trying to troubleshoot and ensure that OBS can actually see the WebSocket for the overlay. This will show as a red not connected button if there's no overlay connected. I just removed the overlay and as you can see, it's now switched so the WebSocket's available. Just added it back, the WebSocket's connected. This should make it easier to troubleshoot and ensure OBS can actually see your overlay. Okay, now that we've ran through the entire match control page, let's give you a preview of what the overlay looks like in action. Let's say we are on game 1. No games have been played, so no matches have been won. Let's set the player records, and you should be able to see on the overlay once you actually hit set that these have been set. So 502, 511, no matches won. You can change the player names. Everything should automatically update and reflect the changes made as you make the changes in the match control overlay. Okay, let's say Fluttermane is the active and Gimmighoul is the active for player 2. They are able to search and find these Pokemon on their active bench, and they've also attached an energy. They've played a supporter and they've not retreated. Let's go ahead and start the timer too. Okay, now we switch to player 2's turn because they passed. It should automatically reset the turn actions. If it doesn't, you can hit the reset turn actions button when you switch to the player's turns. Okay, player 2 finds these Pokemon to fill out their bench, and they've also evolved their active Pokemon. They've attached an energy, they played a supporter, and let's just say they retreated so we can show there. They've also attacked to end their turn, so we update the HP of this Pokemon, and you can see the HP dynamically displays as they take more damage. Let's say they had 10 HP left, changes to red. Visually, it's a nice quick set of information to the user saying, okay, this is low HP, this Pokemon is about to get knocked out. Okay, let's say they did knock this Pokemon out. You can easily remove the active Pokemon and promote the bench Pokemon as the player promotes to the active, and just by dragging the cards in the match control overlay. And as you can see, it automatically changes from active to bench. Player 2 takes their prize card, so we click that and prize card updates. If we switch turns, it should automatically reset the turn control and move to player 1. Okay, let's say the match is over. Player 2 won that game, so we click match and we can then hide the overlay. And when we show the overlay again, you can see everything's been reset. It looks fluid and dynamic, and there's no clunky manual reset, so they don't see you manually removing the Pokemon, adding the prize cards back. It's just hidden, reset, and it's ready to go. Please note that when you do reset the entire match, it will also reset player records and games won. So you want to hide the overlay, reset, update all the information needed, and then you can show the overlay as game 2 starts. Okay, now that we've went through the match control and demoed the actual overlay in action, that should wrap up the current state of CardCast. I personally only play Pokemon, so As far as getting overlays set up for Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, or any of the other popular card games, I would not know what goes into adding important information to the overlays for each of those games. But if enough people request it and maybe we could have a community effort to get those created, I wouldn't mind going through and adding those as needed. I forgot to mention this before in the deck list importing, but once imported, you can actually edit the decks. It should function similar to other tools you've used. You can drag and drop any of the cards here, change the order as needed. You can remove cards, and you can also search to add cards. Click as needed, and drag and drop where they need to go. Once you make the changes, you can either save or cancel. We're going to cancel because that wasn't a real deck list. And from here, this should be everything you need to know to use the current state of CardCast. If you have any input on tweaks we should make or suggestions of things we should add, just let me know. It is an open source project, so anyone is free to fork, make changes, commit changes, however they see fit. I will also continue to make some minor updates to the Pokémon functionality, maybe add some polishing effects and any user feedback that comes up. I hope this is helpful to content creators or anyone looking to create live TCG content. I feel like this could help increase the quality of broadcasts, especially because you have the dynamic control with the match overlay, and even make recorded content easier to produce. Hopefully I see some of you using this, and if you do, tag me so I can actually jump in your live streams.